On the bench today, we have got the brand new Rlaarlo AM-D12 Desert Buggy, and this thing actually looks pretty cool. It's got some big beefy tires on and an awesome looking roll cage. I really like this paint scheme. Nice and simple, not a lot of greebling on there that you don't need. We're gonna dive into this thing, look at what's inside, take it out, test it, bash it, and crash it. But before we do that, let's take a look at what you get with it. First of all, we get the standard Rlaarlo 2.4 gigahertz radio. They've had this in a few different models now, and it works pretty well. I haven't had any issues with it. You get your standard trims, reverses, power button here, takes 4 AA batteries like you'd expect, and overall, for a budget RTR, this is a fine radio. Along with that, we get a manual. Has some pretty good instructions in here. Always go through your manual before you drive the car. Make sure you know what you're doing. Get some droop screws, some extra hexes and nuts, a little charger for your battery. Now, I would not recommend using this charger. It's fine to get you started, but you get no information about your battery with this charger. It's going to be slow. And overall, if you're going to get into this hobby, I'd highly recommend getting a real LiPo charger for your LiPos. And finally, we get some tools, a couple of wrenches, and some extra body clips. Now, taking a closer look at the car, I think this car looks really, really nice. One thing I love to see is that Rlaarlo did not put a bunch of ridiculous words on these body panels. A lot of these manufacturers will put things like headphones and over the night or whatever on them, and this one doesn't do that. It is nice and clean, just says Rlaarlo Racing on it, and I really appreciate that. Now, this is a Desert Buggy. It's 1/12 scale. Comes with some nice, thick, beefy tires on here. This tread feels medium hard. It is foam filled. You do get a spare tire on the back. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later. I'm not a huge fan of this setup, but I'll explain why in a bit. Looks like we get some lights on the front here. These top ones look like they light up, and the ones at the bottom don't look like they light up. Inside here, in kind of this mess of wires, we can see that we've got a brushless ESC with a little brushless motor here. Got a separate receiver, which is nice because you can always replace it with whatever receiver you want. Got a battery, which is battery strapped down with this nice Rlaarlo branded battery strap. This battery is gonna be a 2800 milliamp hour 2-cell battery. Feels pretty good. It's really nice to see an included battery with this. It saves you a couple of bucks over something that doesn't have them. Just like with all the other Rlaarlo vehicles, this little tab right here can dig into the battery, so I'd highly recommend cutting or grinding this little tab off before you use it. Whipping this body off, we can see the same familiar platform from the 1/14 and 1/12 scale buggies. There have been some updates over the course of creating these vehicles. Looks like they have their newer updated drive shafts in here. And of course, like I said, they've got some newer electronics, all hex hardware. Let's take a look at what they decided to include in this vehicle. Let's get a differential out and see what's going on with this motor. Got this all apart. You can see not too many screws. If you've got power tools, it only takes a few seconds. We've got a steel spur gear with a steel pinion. We've got steel gears for the differential with ball bearings. This is a steel ring gear with shielded, not sealed bearings. There is no oil in here. This is going to be grease filled. These aren't sealed differentials, so that's not surprising. Got some really nice looking outdrives on here, and those are connected to these upgraded Rlaarlo shafts. These look like they're really high quality. We'll see how they hold up. This thing looks pretty heavy, so hopefully these will hold up to some serious bashing. We've also got a dual plate slipper clutch in here, which is adjustable externally. Got that familiar aluminum center drive shaft, ball bearings on your steering, and overall this looks like a pretty well put together vehicle. Let me get this mess back together. We'll finish talking about the features, and then we're gonna take this thing out and bash it and crash it and see how it holds up. Finishing up the tour, we have got metal threaded body shocks front and rear, some sway bars, a nice looking aluminum flat plate chassis, all hex hardware. Most of it is self-tappers though. And the one thing I'm not happy about is this giant full-size spare tire on the rear. It looks really good, but it adds a ton of weight back here, and I think that's going to negatively affect the handling of this. I have got an idea for a solution for this that I think is going to be pretty cool. If this does turn out to be a problem, we're going to work on that solution in a little while, and I think you'll like it, so stay tuned for that. Speaking of awesome stuff coming up, I've got a full massive Outcast 8S upgrade video coming soon. We're going to replace just about every weak point on that thing, and it is going to be absolutely awesome. Make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss that. I'm going to charge up a battery. Let's go see how this thing handles. Well, so far, guys, this thing is turning out to be an absolute blast. Now, I've got some upgrades here I want to try for this thing, but before we do that, I'd like to address this big rear tire hanging off the back. It actually handles pretty well with it on here, but I think we can do better. Let's make a replacement for it. All right, got this little wing done. Mounts up in the same place as the stock tire, and it weighs about 1/3 what the stock tire does. Let's get it swapped out. All right, guys, what do you think? I think it's a little bit small on there, but it's definitely light, it's flexible, and I think it's gonna work a lot better than having this big thing hanging off the back. Let's take a look at those upgrades now. For upgrades, we've got aluminum hubs and knuckles for the front and rear, and a fan for the motor. Now, these hubs and knuckles are actually cast aluminum, which means they're gonna be a little bit heavier and a little bit weaker than CNC machined aluminum, but they still should be stronger than the stock parts. Let's get them installed. That all fit on there perfectly. Let me get the rest of these installed. I'm gonna get a fresh battery in here, and let's see how this wing works. The rear wing is absolutely a success. This thing is a lot more lively with less weight on the back. This thing is turning out to be an awesome little car, but now it's time for... Okay guys, so what broke? Well, not much. One of those bad intentional hits bent a front hinge pin up here. One of my wheels came loose. As usual, unfortunately, the ESC came off the tape. If you buy one of these Rlaarlos, no matter which model you get, you're gonna have to replace this tape, unfortunately. Other than that though, this car held up absolutely awesome. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best basher Rlaarlo has ever come out with. It is durable, it's got big tires so you can take it off-road. It looks awesome, it's a lot of fun, it's got plenty of power, and overall, this is just a great little car to own. I'm gonna put a link to a discount code down in the description. I get nothing from that discount code, it's not an affiliate code, just saves you some money, so if you're interested, check that out. And while you're at it, check this out.